My name is Isaac and this is Excel Digest. Today we want to look at how to use relative referencing, absolute referencing, and mixed referencing. Just get started. Absolute referencing is when, for instance, if we have a cell, let's say A1, to use absolute referencing, you need to place the dollar sign before the column and before the row. So let's just print, let me just use A3. Okay. So this will reference the date here in this cell, and we use absolute referencing, which means it doesn't matter where we want to apply. We are always going to refer to the cell, which is A3. All right. So to use absolute referencing, you need to have the dollar sign before the column and before the row. Now let's use relative referencing. With relative referencing, you do not need a dollar sign anyway. Now let's see what happens when we drag. You notice this is picking different cells. It is following the trend from A3. Once we are dragging down, it's going to go to A4, A5 in that manner. If we were to drag on the row, it is just also going to pick the values here. Now let's these are good, so you can see it is picking the values here. All right. Whereas if we use absolute again, now let's drag here. You notice it is still picking the date. So now you see the difference. The next one I want to look at is mixed referencing. Mixed referencing is when you either have the dollar sign before the column or before the row. So with mixed referencing, you have a mixture of relative referencing and then absolute referencing. So let's say, again, our first example. Now we want to use mixed referencing. So we want to refer to the column, which means we want to be stuck to our column and we'll be changing the row. So let's see what happens when we drag it down. You can see the row is changing, but our column does not. Now let's go to the right side again. Now here you see the row, the column does not change because we are referring to this column. It is not going to pick any value in the other columns. Okay, so now let's see how we can apply this in our day-to-day work. Now the table I have here is the normal table that someone who is working in the process industry, for instance, will be dealing with on a daily basis. I like to use examples from the industry because I work in the process industry, and in there we find these calculations often. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Now, first, let me talk about the relative referencing. So let's say we just want to calculate the overall equipment efficiency. As we all know, it is going to be the availability times the efficiency. You multiply it by the quality. So let's just first enter, and then we have our value. Now, to use relative referencing, I can drag this here, and like we demonstrated earlier, it is just going to pick a different rows and perform our calculation. Note that this will be the same as we copy in the value here, and then we paste it as a formula. It's just going to be the same. Good. Okay, so this is relative referencing. Now we'll look at the absolute referencing. We have here the total feed to the plant. We have the total for the product, that is the shear stearin, olein, and gum, and we've calculated the yield. I want to present our table in a nice manner, so we want to pick all these formulas here. So now I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste as formula. Now you see what happens. It is behaving as relative referencing because we have not used absolute referencing on this. So to do that, I'm going to apply absolute referencing on all these formulas. Now to apply, you have a simple way by using the function F4 key. So you select the formula and then you press F4. Good. On my keyboard, because it's a laptop, I have to use function and then F4. All right. So let's apply it on all of them. Great. Yes. Okay. So now let me delete this. I can copy and just paste as formula, and we are going to have the same values as you can see. Good. Now, to calculate our yield, we are going to apply relative referencing, the shear steering divided by the feed into the plant. Now, so I want 2 decimals. This will be the same as our product here, olein, divided by the input to the plant. Because we're applying formula and it's relative referencing, we're not going to have the right figures. Since our denominator is going to be the same, we're going to refer absolutely to the row, which in this case is C18. All right, so now let's copy and paste. Let's see. Now you see what happens. Great. We have the right figures here. We are constantly referring to this row number. We could also have used absolute referencing. All right. So again, I try to use absolute referencing. Good. So this will be 18. Great. So the last thing I want to look at here, again, let's calculate our capacity utilization. That will be the feed to the plant divided by hourly rate times 24, because we have 24 hours in a day. Good. However, to also calculate our plant production, it's just going to be the same, the feed to the plant divided by the plant production times 24. So in all cases, we're going to use the feed. So we could use absolute referencing on the column because our figures on this on the column B will be the same for both cells. So now I can copy here formula, and you can see that I'm having the right figures, and I drag. All right.
Thanks for watching. Please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell to get notified when we make the next video. Bye.